All right, welcome to another defining moment for the American dollar. This is the NFP live trading session. The numbers will soon be released into the market, and all American dollar pairs should be feeling the heat. Okay. Well, quite a volatile day, probably because of the anticipated bad numbers for the American dollar. Traders are beginning to react to American dollar pairs. The news announcement is about 14 minutes away. Okay, so we are going to be using that 14 minutes to go through all American dollar crosses to see if there is any setup at all for us to ride the new spike, or we are going to wait for another 30 minutes after the news release. All right, beginning with the euro against the American dollar. Yesterday we were talking about price approaching a level of confluence in the part-time traders live session. That was the point of confluence there, and you can see how problematic that level has been for a price, even though we are seeing some hesitation around that area. It is the point of support that price has reacted off, but that reaction is not clear enough for a directional change. Remember that the euro against the American dollar has been on a straight fall for some time now. It has not made any significant pullback. Let's see what the news reaction will be around this area of support. All right, the next one is the American dollar against the Swiss franc. Earlier this morning, price broke out of the 1 hour trend line, the rising trend line, the 1 hour time frame. Ugly price behavior after that breakout. Now the news is almost due. We are just going to mark that last swing here as support, and the high for today as resistance. Looking into the 4 hours time frame, price is also having some levels to a challenge, which may act as resistance. Okay, and of course since we were having that sideways price behavior, more of a channel for the American dollar against the Swiss franc, so we should be seeing some technical level of resistance around this area. So we'll wait to see the type of reaction we will get as the news will be released. All right, the next one is the American dollar against the Canadian dollar, where lots of confusion going on with this pair. Let's just keep this area support. This one here as resistance. It's been a really ugly price behavior for this pair for some days. Okay, then the next one, Australian dollar against the Swiss franc. We had a triangle formation before with this one here as resistance and this one here as support. With pre-market reaction to the news announcement, we saw a spike into that zone, but no clear hint if it will be resisted or not. Let's see the 1 hour time frame. the 1 hour time frame, let's take out this line right now. In the 1 hour time frame, this falling trend line seems to be broken. That level right here. Another retest. This is more of the breakout, maybe making some pullback for a bounce. Okay, so wait to see the news reaction of that level as well. The American dollar against the Japanese yen, we are finding plenty of hesitation around this junction. Well, I'll be happy to see the American dollar drop. Okay, I'll be happy to see the American dollar go weak for this pair, the American dollar against Japanese yen, to drop all the way to somewhere around in here, the 1.04 level, somewhere around in here. If it is able to push through this level here, then we are going to see more upside. But if it fails, then we are likely going to see a crash to the downside. So we'll be reading price action very closely to see what's going to happen. So in the 1 hour time frame, it's been sideways price behavior. Only the news can show us which direction. Yesterday's interest rate announcement for the sterling pounds against the American dollar drove price to the downside, but it seems today prices are hesitating a lot before the NFP announcement to continue that push to the downside. Again, in the daily time frame, for those of you who watched yesterday's review, we already talked about the significance of this channel formation in the daily time frame. That it might be, okay, that word is might, it might be an early hint or a sign of warning to stop hitting on your sell button in this pair. Okay, it's a possible turn. Price is trying to make a turn to the upside, but it's not breaking this very level right here, that upper channel leg yet. Let's see what the news will do. Maybe the news will be able to pull through that level or not, and if it doesn't, then it's likely to bank off the lower leg for a push to the upside or for a breakout. So we are going to be watching to see the reaction, and if we find any valid price pattern to trade, we are going to take the trade. Again, before that channel leg, we have the previous swing low here again as support. And finally, the New Zealand dollar against the American dollar. These are pairs that have been hesitating for quite a while. In this pair, daily time frame, it's been in a range, different shapes, but it's been clearly in a range. So the news announcement will be telling us where the breakout is likely going to happen. It is possible that it breaks to the downside. It is possible that it goes back into range and remains there for next week, or even break to the upside. Whatever happens, our entries will be based on price action in the intraday time frames. It's about 6 minutes to the news announcement. We'll be patient. All American dollar pairs are having the same price behavior. I think the American dollar weakness is long overdue. I would like to see the American dollar go weak again. Let me just quickly go through other pairs. Australian dollar is quite strong. This is a range here. It's another range here. We're talking about this yesterday. I'll be glad to listen to you if you have your views, what you think will happen to those American dollar pairs. That would be interesting. Sterling pounds against the Japanese yen. China, sorry, an expanding triangle. Okay. Ranges upon ranges. Kiel, nobody knows about that. It's only the news outcome that will determine that. No one knows if NFP is going to weaken the American dollar until the news has been released. My wish is to see the American dollar go. Okay, euro against Australian dollar. Ranges. Okay, let's see again. But on the whole, it will be interesting to see the American dollar go weak upon the NFP announcement. Euro against the American dollar is facing heavy level of support. I would like to see a cruise down, then a failure. 3 minutes to that news announcement. And unfortunately, there is no setup for us to place our pending orders. And so we are going to wait 30 minutes after the news announcement. On the okay, which of the three news is the most important? That is the non-farm employment change, this one here. That's the one that should shake the market. But once you have, they are all high impact news announcement, but this is what most traders are looking up to today. And if you have if the numbers coming out from all of this at once, we have worse than expected, better than expected, we are likely going to see a non-directional price reaction. For the American dollar against the Japanese yen, it will be interesting to see price cruise all the way to the downside. Okay, 1 minute to the news announcement. Just a minute. Just one more minute, less than a minute right now, or about 30 seconds. Yes, that's correct. Once there are several news announcements and the results are mixed, market doesn't have a clear directional bias. Okay, it's about time. 8, 9, release. Okay. All right, market is still trying to digest the news. Okay, red, that means bad for the American dollar, but we haven't seen any heavy reaction yet. Okay, the American dollar losing some strength there. See the American dollar against the Canadian dollar, but still too early to say. Most times you get a news announcement that is worse for the American dollar and price just go the other direction. So we are going to wait to see what will happen for the next 30 minutes. Yes, Kiel, that's why we are here. Even if the USD weakens, we will need to see some technical price action before we can jump into any trade. We will not just get into the trades because the news is bad for the American dollar. Most times you get contrary reactions where the news is actually bad but price is moving in the direction of strength. So we like to trade only when we find the price action that supports the technical price action that supports that news announcement. For now, we are still waiting. Not much of reaction. Okay, it's a waiting game. Okay, all of these numbers. This is no impact here. Worse than expected for the American dollar. So the American dollar should lose strength. No impact here as well. No impact. Volatility is very thin. Okay, so we have to wait for another 30 minutes to see if we find favorable price volatility for us to get on board. But for now, it's still very quiet. Let's give the chart some time to digest the news announcement. Most times it takes a little while before you can begin to see that momentum setting in the charts. Okay, all right, just stay tuned. I will be back at the American dollar. So the American dollar is expected to lose some strength based on that news announcement, but you are not supposed to trade until your trading system say so. Okay, for now our trading system has not called for any entries, and so we are going to be waiting until we find that valid setup presented by the trading systems. Okay, I'll be back. Bye bye.